What's up, everybody? I haven't made a video in a while, and I wanted to just introduce this video with something real quick so you understood where it was kind of coming from. I haven't made a video in, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. In November, my grandmother fell and got hurt, and then I was in the hospital with her for several weeks, and she ended up passing away on Christmas Eve, and so that just led to me just taking time off and being with the family and taking care of those arrangements and all of that stuff, and it just seemed like a good time for a break. And so since we don't go back to school until next week, so we don't go back till January 7th, but I know some of you are back already or didn't even have off, or you're on summer break like you're living in Australia. So anyway, I have a number of videos that I already made weeks ago that were ready to come out, but then things happened and I couldn't get them out. So here's the video. I wanted to put this out. I think it's really, really great. Talk about some new resources that I'm working with, talking about confidence with students. And I asked my students what they've been listening to lately. I hope you enjoy it. And if you're new here, this isn't how we usually roll on this channel, but life got real in the last couple of weeks, and so I'm changing it up a little bit. So I'll try and get out some of these new backlogged videos in the next couple of days, and then we'll start fresh next week. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone's well, and we'll see you soon. For this video, here we go. Today's question was, what are you currently listening to?
Right now, I'm listening to that new song with A-Boogie and 6ix9ine.
Stokely by Ski Master Slum God.
Frankenstein, what are you listening to right now?
Meek Mill new album,
Is there a certain song?
intro.
The intro.
All right.
What I'm listening to is a rapper called Little TJ Brothers.
Pick that do-rag because it matches your sweater.
Yes, I did. Street Gossip by Lil Baby, his whole album.
You really have a Popeye shirt on?
I don't understand what that means.
What are you listening to right now?
Never Needed Help by Lil Baby.
Meek's whole album.
All right.
Champions.
I didn't know any of that stuff. I better dig a little deeper. A little bit of a different angle today. Elevation going on here as my hair looks like it's a little elevated today. So look, before I jump into this video and just talk about my lesson and stuff like that, which I really am excited about today, in my P.O. box the other day, I got this. I got a Kindle Fire from this woman named Maureen, who was kind enough to send me a Kindle Fire, which is gonna go far in my class, right? Because I'm able to possibly put audiobooks on this for students that are dyslexic, or find some like text to speech stuff, and I'm really excited about the opportunity. And being at the type of school that I'm at, I mean, we dream on a budget. We have the amount of money that we have. The school does a really good job, I think, of like trying to make that go as far as possible, you know, but there's still a lot of limitations in the school. And so before I even get started, getting that from Maureen just reminded me of like how thankful I am at large, but also for like the people that hook it up, that make this possible, that make doing videos possible, that make class even better. Like, something that no one knows is that in the last, I don't know, maybe year now, my music has exclusively come from Kia Orion, and I'm gonna tag him right up here in one of these little label things that pop out here. So if you want to check him out, he's always linked in the description box below. But Kia saw me on Gary V when my students and I got to go visit Gary Vaynerchuk about 1.5 years ago, and reached out and just offered me beats and gave me like tons of beats for free. And I'm extremely picky about the kind of music that I use because I really, really love music. And so his stuff, I mean, I've been sent stuff before, and some of it fit and some of it didn't. It wasn't like the sort of the brand that I was looking for, but his stuff is great. But that's all for free, which allows me to make more videos because I'm not looking for free music all the time, or music that I can use. And the sheer volume of music that he's been willing to share with me has been huge also. Or the lady last year that sent me these stools. Got these stools. She sent them in the mail. My stools were broken. I wanted more flexible seating in my room so my students could move around and stuff like that. And someone saw this. I asked on Facebook if anyone had any old stools that I could have, and she just said, pick out whatever stools you want. Send me the bill and I'll pay for them. And I thought, you've gotta be kidding me. And that's not all. I get stuff in my P.O. box all the time that either adorns my room, like my beautiful picture of Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World, or just random things that are around, things that I can use. And not even just that. It's all the emails that I get, all the comments that I get, all the people that show up time after time, not just consume this content, which is fine if that's what you're doing, but they help people out in the comments section, and they're taking whatever they're getting from here, whether it's from me or from someone else, and going and doing great stuff in the world. And I can't possibly name every single person, but if I think of Brenda, and you know who I'm talking about, Brenda. Yes, you. Or Sarah Childs, or Tracy Pinter, or Kate the Sleepy Teacher, or Piano Boy, or Jill Chapman, or Pia Art, or Pie Art, Pie Art. Or Frank at Teachers Connect. Or Hales Teach, or Birch Teacher. Or Birch Please, not Birch Teacher. I think they're a teacher, but it's Birch Please. Shauna Caldwell, Jesse Prescott, and on and on and on and on. I mean, like, look, I can put out all of this content, but if no one's watching, if no one's passing it on, if no one's engaging with it, if people aren't meeting one another in the comments or going to the closed Facebook group and having conversations there, or even watching Big Guy Little Car, I mean, look, I could literally count on one hand probably the number of negative comments I've gotten. I always get one thumbs down, and I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna figure it out one of these days. Probably cheesesteak. It blows my mind on a platform like YouTube or Instagram where you could easily be anonymous, you could easily leave nasty words. The number of positive comments that I get towards me, towards my students, towards the people that I work with, and then even between all of you, I'm just saying, it really makes me excited and it really fills me with hope when there's so much negative output. There's so many negative comments made about social media, and I can really say that like my experience has almost been entirely positive. Thank you to all of you who are giving so much and making this space like somewhere people actually want to be. So I had a great conversation in class today with one of my friends, Mr. Meeks. Mr. Meeks is going to be on in a later show. Meeks is the SSO. He's like the head security guy at the school, who's now like in sort of an administrative role. But he is awesome. He's like one of my favorite homies at the school. He and I were talking about today how, you know, the teaching part is one aspect. And so many new teachers think that the job is showing up, making interesting lessons, teaching students stuff, and then furthering their learning. But really the job becomes, I think, and Meeks was sharing this sentiment, so much more about building self-confidence in students and helping them to actually believe in themselves. Because if they're actually confident, that translates into their work. If they see this, all that they're doing in your class, as something that's actually going somewhere, they're far more likely to do the work. But a lot of my students confuse cockiness with confidence. Yo, what's up? Fines is over here. There he is. He's sick though, we're gonna keep him over there. We match again today. The other day, Fines and I had the same outfit on pretty much. Now we both have hunter green on. Talking about how students are often confuse cockiness and confidence. Not the same thing.
Yeah,
so
no, absolutely. Like that is
look, I'm taller than you for once in my whole life. There it is. This is the only time this will ever happen. What do you think about that?
It is definitely something, especially for our guys who sometimes they like to try to intimidate each other, and intimidation is something that they either desperately trying to avoid or trying to constantly give off. I think that feeling confident, especially about school and being proud of the fact that they know things, some kids are kind of naive to the fact that they're like, hey, I got this answer right, and they sometimes get crap from one another, like oh dude, shut up. Or they are surprised when teachers are trying to encourage them to be confident. So it's a thing that we have to negotiate a lot.
Cockiness is like filled with hot air too.
Yeah.
Cockiness is the kid that's not on the basketball team that swears he's going to play in the NBA one day, but you can't even get yourself on the basketball team, right? Whereas confidence it's a game changer. Like if you're confident in your ability and what's going to happen next, or at least in your ability to handle what's going to happen next, like you rule the world. Now we look like we're on a security camera at a corner store. Even in terms of our guys, I think cockiness makes you think you're going to show up to the party and girls are going to come to you. Mm-hmm. Confidence gives you the ability to go and kick it to someone that you like, right, and not just sit. You're not just going to be like, I'm just waiting. Chicks will just show up.
And be willing that the first two girls you might talk to, they may completely reject you and laugh in your face. Exactly.
Brush it off.
Dirt off your shoulder.
All right. Cool. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program. All right. So then, today in class, we are reading Merchant of Venice. And in Merchant of Venice, I mean, there's a million. One of the things I like about, like, this is not my jam, this play, right? But like, one of the things I do like about it is that it gives us the ability to talk about a lot of different things. And so one of the things I love in literature is like, it could just go a million different ways each year. So one of the things we're going to focus on is like this sort of anti-Semitism that happens in the play. Like Shylock gets dogged because he's Jewish. And so my friends at Scholastic Magazine, which so look, if I'm 100% honest, I didn't know Scholastic Magazine they even made. Like, I remember Scholastic Magazine when I was a kid. I remember the little like readers we would get in class, or I remember like the book fair that would happen. And my children, who are 9 and 11, have the book fair at their school every year. I didn't know it was anything that high schoolers could use also. But so look it up, and they have this, the one magazine we're gonna look at in class is Upfront, and it's by the New York Times. Like they partner with them to create this stuff. And so on the front of this month's issue, why can't we end hate? How hate is thriving on social media and leading to appalling violence. And I just thought this is like the perfect tie-in to what we're talking about, right? And the article in here has to do with this recent shooting that took place in Pittsburgh at a synagogue, in which a number of people were killed there. And so from the jump, this is something that my students can connect with, right? We lost 3 boys last year to gun violence in our school. Almost lost a 4th, but my man McQueen pulled through. He got shot a bunch of times and he lived. And now he's doing all right. But so if I'm looking for a connection point with my students, it doesn't always have to be violent, right? Like, even though it's inner city, I'm not trying to paint that picture, but I'm looking for some sort of connection point, right? You know, one of the things about literature is like when you can feel it, when you can sense it on a heart level, like you connect with a book, it just takes on a new meaning, and then you can glean some truth from that literature. And so it's not just the shooting that we're talking about, but what happened after the shooting. So the article goes on to talk about on social media in the days following this event, there were like all these anti-Semitic like hashtags popping up and posts popping up. And I wanted to get a sense of like what my students thought about that. I'm always interested in the power of social media because I don't think students always understand the power of social media. I think at this point it's something they've just grown up with, whereas my generation is literally the last generation on the face of the planet that is growing up. There was no social media, there was no internet, and then at some point there was. And sometimes when the students are that close, they don't even realize how powerful that is. And so we had this conversation, and it was really interesting because what we got to do was to mix Shakespeare that was written hundreds of years ago and then match that up to something that is happening in the news now, and then talk about that in class. It's always fascinating to have these conversations with my students because I feel like when you're 14, 15 years old, it's the first time that you've ever like really broken away from what your parents' ideas were or what your friends' ideas are or were, and you start to have this own sense of yourself. I know for myself, when I was about that age is when I started having mohawks and blue hair and purple hair and green hair and long hair. And that was really, I think, out of a sense of like, I can't rebel in any other actual way, but in this way, like the color of my hair, or if I'm going to make my parents disappointed by doing such things, it was a power that I had. And so helping students find their voice is one of my favorite parts of my job. And I think the way we do that is by connecting their lives to something bigger than themselves and then connecting those dots. And in doing these activities, it's fun to see like how kids argue. Do they really argue? Are they listening to other people to both get an understanding of what that other individual thinks and also taking what they're using so that they can then use it back against them? And so one of the ways we were able to do that, right, when we're talking about carefully reading what's put in front of you so that you can then use that to inform your argument and then to crush your opponent, I used these 2 worksheets to do that with today. Let's do this. I'll put them up as a still, and then, because look, when you do this, it makes my face all dark, makes this all washed out. It's hard. As a still, here it is. And so what this first handout is showing you is right from Scholastic's website. You can go on there, you can download it, and there's several handouts. They also have videos that go along with certain things. So if you're reading an article, it might match it with a video, it might match it with another text, it might match it with handouts that you can do with your students, discussion points, all kinds of cool stuff. So this pretty much just walks them through and has them start to critically think about what they're reading here, right? They're analyzing the article. And then something that we were able to do last year when I was reading a book that nobody else was reading in the school. So the kids were able to go through and annotate, which meaning like write in the books, like what do they think or feel about something, underline words that they thought were important or that they were confused about. And I really wish the school had the money to like have every kid have a book and be able to do that, because I think there's such value in it. I mean, as an adult, I'm constantly underlining things in books. If I read a book from my library and the students read it after me, I hear kids complain that they're like, Reynolds, stop writing in the books all the time. And it's like, I can't, man. I love writing in the books. It just helps me, it helps cement my ideas. So in turn, if you can have enough magazines for everyone, great. Or, I mean, this works with anything, right? Books, magazines, newspaper articles that you print out and stuff. They also make these sheets, and so let's pop this up there. And these just help you to dig into the details of what you're reading. If there was a particular quote or statistic that backed up what you were reading, if you want to summarize something in a few words so that you can remember it for later, and then also wonder like, what could the author have added, right? So you're actually having a conversation almost with the piece. And when arguing, I just think that this is so important because, here you go, life lesson for all of you that are thinking about becoming married one day. It is utterly important that you listen to your partner without thinking about what you are going to say next. Just listening. It informs you in a way that you don't get if you're just thinking about what you want to say next. Like they're halfway through a thought and you're like, oh, all right. And you're just waiting. You just like relax for a moment. Take it all in because your mind might change by the end of what they're saying. And if not, it gives you a clearer picture to have a better retort than you jumping off half-cocked because you were like just stuck on that one thing they said at the beginning. And so I felt like this activity did that, and it gave the kids somewhere to write it down so they could refer back to it when we were having a conversation in class. And I like having arguments in class. I think it's really important to teach kids how to actually argue effectively. Is arguing bad? No, but arguing ineffectively is just annoying. All right, I just noticed I still have my coat on because it's like 9 degrees in my room and it was snowing out today. We're supposed to live in California, and then my wife wanted to stay in Pennsylvania. That was years ago. Now I wear jackets all day. Too cool for middle school doesn't wear a jacket all day. She probably just wears it because it's cool. Too cool for middle school. This is a necessity because, you know, I'm skinny. All right, gang, that's it. Look, I really, really appreciate all of you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you watching this stuff, sharing it with other people, the things that you send in the mail, the things that you send to my boys, the kind words you leave in the comments to my students. You guys are amazing, truly, and it is not lost on me. That's it for now. Peace.